President Joe Biden is on his way home from the G20 summit in Bali, a trip that was quickly consumed by that deadly blast in Poland. Here he is last night, according to the White House, huddling with advisors. The White House says he was extending his condolences to Poland's president and working to strategize the appropriate U.S. response. Joining me now is Rice University professor of history and the author of Silent Spring Revolution, Douglas Brinkley. So I want to talk about your new book, but I first just want to get you on the moment we're living in right now. I mean, it's precarious. It feels like we are in, again, a slippery moment in history where there's all sorts of things that can go very wrong. How do you see it as somebody who studies all of our history?
Well, on the foreign policy front, we have to make sure NATO comes first. Under Donald Trump, we started denigrating NATO. And that quick scare that we had with Poland yesterday, which is now kind of dissipated, but it reminds you how we must keep that Western alliance together, Western Europe, United States, Canada. Also, I'm always worried about China, and I thought President Biden's trip there was good. He had a calming influence. He said there is no new Cold War about to happen. I thought it was his best foreign trip yet. Donald Trump's in the news announcing he's running for president. Nobody seemed to care much. It was like when, I don't know if you remember, there used to be Lyndon LaRouche. He used to be a kind of crazy conspiracy guy that would run for president all the time. And it felt a little bit that way with Trump, like nobody wants the photo op with him at this point. We'll see. He's not over yet. But and then the elections were epic. Democracy seems to have prevailed, and you've been doing a great job, Katie, covering all that, and I appreciate it.
Did you breathe a little bit easier Wednesday morning?
Oh, my God. So much easier, although I grew up in Ohio, and seeing Tim Ryan lose to me was a little tough because I thought he was an extremely good candidate. I thought it would be kind of like it was. I thought the Laxalt would have won in Nevada. I thought for sure Warnock would have been able to have gotten the 50% threshold. So I got some stuff wrong, like everybody. But look, it's going to be tough doing anything Biden's next year. The politics are so fierce.
So it's so divided. What I find so interesting about your book, you talk about a Silent Spring Revolution and Rachel Carson and how her book opened the eyes of people in positions of power to really take more focus and care on the environment in what was a very pivotal moment. And it wasn't just Democrats, it was Republicans too, Nixon. So what was it like in that moment? How did Rachel Carson convince these powerful people that moves needed to be made to protect our environment?
Through integrity of Rachel Carson's work. You know, she was born in Pennsylvania. She had gone to Woods Hole, the Oceanographic Center in Cape Cod. She did a master's in zoology. And during World War II, she wrote for the U.S. government radio broadcast about nature, about wildlife refuges, and particularly about the ocean. She had scored 3 brilliant books on ocean conservation starting in 41 to the late 50s. It's hard to write a book on the oceans and be #1 bestseller and win all these awards. But she was given just satchels full of information that DDT being sprayed by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, by Suffolk County and Long Island. You know, they would blanket spray crops, and if you were trying to be an organic farmer, you couldn't be. And then people were getting sick, really sick, spikes in cancer, leukemia, and the like. Rachel Carson did the gritty work in Silent Spring as a whistleblower, collecting all the material. The New Yorker did a great job of excerpting her. John F. Kennedy backed her action by putting together a science committee and found out, yes, Rachel Carson is telling the truth. And alas, DDT finally gets banned in 1972, but more than that, she triggered a revolution, which we call the modern environmental movement.
And there is so much attention paid to the environment. Climate change is a big topic, but it wasn't a big topic or a big policy consideration during the midterms, according to the exit polls. Is there someone now that can cut through the, I don't want to say noise, but cut through the money being spent by big corporations in order to fight back against making policy changes that would help fix some of our big climate problems, like putting as much carbon as we do into the air? There's so much lobbying by oil companies and the like. pushing back on any legislation that would help improve the environment. Is there somebody that can cut through it and unite not just Democrats, but Republicans, a Republican president after a Democratic president, perhaps?
Well, what was staggering about writing Silent Spring Revolution is just looking at what Richard Nixon did. The public was demanding that Nixon do something. So he created the Environmental Protection Agency, National Environmental Policy Act, NOAA. He saved Golden Gate National Recreation Area, the Gateway National Recreation Area.
Those are all targets now by the Republican Party.
They were. Endangered species passed 92-0 in the Senate. Now it's two different things.
Yeah.
If I go to Ohio and stand in Cleveland and say, everybody should swim in Lake Erie, all the fish should be clean, and gasoline needs to eventually be phased out, I'll get a big applause. If I use the word environment, people start thinking you're on the left.
It's been politicized.
It's been that politicized. But the Rachel Carson moment can't come because Generation Z, as we saw in this election, cares about climate change, and they're on the way to kind of fix our future, I think.
Well.